Well, hello out there. This is Lisa, and welcome to another edition of the Book and Banter Society. Whoa, do I have a treat for you guys this time? A very unusual movie, as you can tell by the title. This feature is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. 2012, rated R, with a running time of 1 hour and 45 minutes. And before we get into the fun, gotta do my disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Book and Banter Society are my opinions and my opinions alone. I am not a professional movie critic. I am just a person that loves movies and I'm sharing some of them with you. And also, too, with some of these movies, there may be blood, gore, violence, dialogue. There may be things in these movies that may trigger you. So I'm just letting you know you have been warned. And I'm going to warn you, spoiler alert. I'm not going to tell you the ending of this movie, but I'm pretty much I'm going to tell you everything else. So, not going to give away the ending, but I'm giving away everything else. All right? So, woohoo! We got a little creepy one. So, get settled in, you guys, and let's go ahead and get started. The movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is based off the novel Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter by Seth Graham Smith. The book was released on March the 2nd, 2010, and it was released through New York based publishing company Grand Central Publishing. The movie begins in Pigeon Creek, Indiana in 1818. Abraham Lincoln is a little boy. He lives here with his parents, Nancy and Thomas, and they all work at a plantation owned by a gentleman named Jack Bart. So little Abraham is just working away, and all of a sudden, some noises catch his attention, and it's a couple of black people. They're saying, "Please, sir, no, no, no." So Abraham looks up because he wants to see exactly what is going on. And what he sees is he's seeing some black people being led away, and they're trying to say, "Look, we're not slaves. There has to be some kind of mistake. Like, what the hell is going on?" And then this little black boy, he's trying to intervene, but of course, one of the adults who's, one of the slavers, stops him. Abraham is looking and he's like, wait a second, that's my friend William. I, I gotta do something. And his dad Thomas just grabs him and grabs him hard and says, "You know what? This is not our place. Just don't look. Just look away. Look away." So basically, you know what? We are minding our own damn business. Just pretend like none of this is happening. Well, as you can see, Abraham is like, "Please, I am doing something." So he grabs an axe and he starts charging. Needless to say, he gets stopped. And not only does he get stopped, but the guy has a whip and he starts whipping Abraham and his friend William. Well, so that's when Thomas he has to intervene because he's not going to let this guy beat his kid, let alone beat William either. So, with one punch, he knocks out the bad guy, and the bad guy falls into the water. So Thomas is a hero, right? Well, yes, but sometimes it comes with consequences. So then this guy comes up to him and kind of taps him with his cane to get his attention. And the guy is like, "Hey, did you strike my friend?" And Thomas is telling him he was beating my son. And he's like, "You know what? I think you better watch it before you find yourself led away in chains." It's like, "Whoa, this is very interesting." So then Thomas's wife, Nancy, chimes in and she says something to the effect of, "Until they are free, we're all slaves." Oh, and by the way, if I didn't tell you before, this guy right here is James Bart. So he is the owner of the plantation. So he's looking at Nancy and Thomas and he's like, "Well, you know what? Consider yourself free, free from the burden of working on my plantation. Oh, and by the way, the debt you're working off, it's due it's due right now. So make sure you pay me before you leave." And Bart, he has this thin cane, right? And he like has it kind of like on Thomas's chest, right? Like poking him a little bit in the chest. And Thomas looks him dead in the eye and says, "If I give you any money, it'll come with a fist." And then he takes Bart's cane and just boom, just moves it out the way and it breaks. But the only problem is it breaks all right, but it breaks to expose a gun. So when Thomas sees that gun, he's kind of looking like, "Okay, game over." So he just turns and leaves. So, him and Nancy and little Abraham, it's like, "Yeah, it's time to go." And Bart, he doesn't get angry or anything. He's cool with it. He just says, "That's okay, Mr. Lincoln. There are other ways to collect on a debt." It's like, "Ooh, that is creepy." So he just lets them go. But you already know it's not the end, it's only the beginning. So now it is nightfall. Boy, look at this scene. Is this creepy or what? Not only does it look creepy, it looks cold as hell, right? But inside it is nice and cozy because this is where little Abraham lives with his parents. So his parents are sleeping, and Abraham he sleeps like, I guess you would say, like on a loft, so he can look down on his parents' bed. So he has his candle on and he's doing it looks like he's either doing some reading or some writing. But then guess what? He hears a noise and someone slowly opens the front door of their cabin. Oh my God, can you imagine the fear this little boy has? And he can hear the floorboards creaking. So, what he decides to do is blow out the candle and try to see what's going on. He doesn't yell, he doesn't scream. I think because he is just paralyzed with fear. So, he looks down from his loft and he sees looks like what to be a man in the shadows. And then this man kneels down right beside his mom who's sleeping. And his dad is sleeping too. Both of them are sound asleep. And quickly the man looks up. He looks up at Abraham, and Abraham jumps. Now it's the next day, and Nancy is feeling absolutely horrible. I mean, the veins in her body are sticking out, her eyes are rolling back in her head, and you see her husband Thomas is holding on to her hands, and there he just feels helpless. There's nothing he can do. And there's a gentleman with him. Thomas calls him father, so I don't know if that's like father meaning his dad or maybe a minister or something. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it's probably his dad. And then, the father, he's just like, I need to talk to you outside because he's never seen anything like this before. And Thomas keeps telling Abraham, because he's kind of looking down on this situation from his loft. And Thomas tells him, look away, look away. But, he can't. That's his mom. So Thomas and his father, they go out the cabin. So Abraham decides to come down from the loft and read to his mom. So he's reading to his mom, and well, unfortunately, she kind of drifts off. And when I say drift off, I don't mean drifting off to sleep. She passes away, and her husband is absolutely devastated. And I don't know, I don't know what he was thinking in his mind, but he looks down at Abraham and he tells him, promise me you won't go and do anything foolish. And all Abraham does is just look up at him and doesn't say a word. Okay. Well, all of that was 9 years ago. And now we can see Abraham Lincoln is now a grown man. And he's like in this bar and he's drinking and drinking and drinking. And there's this guy sitting next to him, and he's kinda like, "Whoa, why don't you slow down a bit?" Usually, when I see someone drinking like that, it's either they're trying to get the courage to kiss a girl or they're trying to get the courage to kill somebody. And then Abraham Lincoln just looks at him like, "Whatever." And guess what? A gun falls out of Abraham's jacket. He quickly picks it up, puts it in his coat, and walks out of the bar. So now we see Abraham. He has since left the bar and he is in a little boat. But then he hears people talking above him on deck, and he hears someone say, Adam, I've looked everywhere for him. I don't know where he's at. And then this person named Adam says, look, Bart, you need to find him. And then that's when Abraham, Bart, I definitely know that name. So now we're up on the deck and we see this guy right here, Adam, and he's talking to James Bart and he's telling him, You need to find Henry, okay?" And Bart is like, "I've searched high and low. I can't find him." He's like, "Well, make sure you find him because you know what? I need you to bring some stuff up to the south because we have a lot of mouths to feed." And Abraham, in his mind, he's thinking, that doesn't quite sound right. So the next thing you know, Adam leaves, and he's with a woman, by the way, who is actually his sister. So they leave, and then, Bart is like, when they leave, he's, mocking them like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," like, whatever. And so Bart has his back turned and he's walking. And that's when Abraham creeps up from the boat and onto the deck. Because remember, Abraham has that gun and it looks like he's getting ready to use it. So then Bart turns around and he's staring right down the barrel of Abraham's gun. Abraham fires, and guess what, you guys? Nothing happens. So Abraham panics and he starts running to hide. And then Bart is laughing at him. He's like, wait a second. Where are you running off to? What's going on here? And so then Abraham, he finds like a small little storage shed. So he goes in there and just shuts the door. And then he looks and it's like, "Oh my god, there's the dead body of a woman on the floor." And right, in front of the door, Bart is laughing, and it's like, "Oh my goodness." In the meantime, Abraham, he's trying to reload the gun. But remember, you guys, this is the 18th century. It takes a little time to load the gun. You gotta have the gunpowder and all that stuff. So Abraham is shaking and freaking out. And look at Bart. He's peering in and he is laughing. And guess what he tells Abraham? He goes, "I remember you, Lincoln. Yeah, and I remember your mother too. Her blood was so sweet. And I bet yours is too." It's like, oh no, this is crazy. Well, this time Abraham is ready. Bart, boom, he kicks open the door and look, he's staring down again down the barrel of a gun, but this time the gun fires and it fires right in his eye. Ouch. So there you have it. Look at Bart all laid out. So it's like, okay, great. Then Abraham turns around briefly, then turns back around, and it's like, "Oh, wait a second. What happened to Bart? He was laid out dead, and now he is gone." Well, he's not gone exactly. Damn! 'Cause here he is, and, well, he's looking a little different here. Oh my god. Woo! As you can see, he is not happy with Abraham at all. But then out of the blue, the guy that was sitting next to Abraham in the bar just a few minutes ago, he shows up on deck. And look at him. He's not afraid at all. So he starts beating up Bart. It's like, what? I mean, look at this. He literally grabs Bart by his hair and flips him over in some kind of little matrix, a little thing going on. Gosh, and look at that with one hand. This guy just throws Bart up against the building, and Bart literally slides up the building. It is an amazing stunt. And the next thing Abraham knows is that he wakes up in a bed that's not his. And he's bruised and battered, and he has bandages on, and he's just trying to figure out, okay, what is going on here? So Abraham gets up and does just a little exploring. Then he hears a noise. So he goes to the door, one of the doors of the house, and he's like, okay, something is behind this door. But guess what it is? It's the guy from the bar from the night before. And well, let's just say he has a little lady friend. And they're, doing the do. And Abraham is like, oops, sorry. Oh, and so then the lady, she kind of scurries away. So then as the guy is, putting on his shirt and everything like that, Abraham, of course, as you can probably guess, is totally confused because remember the night before was a trip. So he asked the guy like, "Who are you?" And the guy tells him, "I am Henry Sturgis." And then they go into this room, and as Henry is putting on his shoes and his jacket, he's like talking to himself. He's like, "Oh, I knew this guy would be a bad recruit." Talking about Abraham, it's like, "Oh, he has too much vengeance in his heart. I need someone that doesn't have vengeance like that, because these vampires." And then that's when Abraham is like, "Vampires? What are you talking about? Vampires are not real. They're just a myth." And he goes, "Oh, really? So what happened last night? Was that a myth? Because let me tell you something, after you put a bullet in the brain of that myth, it came right back up." And so then Abraham was like, "Yeah, it looks like vampires are real." And so then he tells Henry, he goes, "Look, you got to help me. Help me get, you know, um, vengeance for my mom because that guy Bart's, he killed my mom." And then Abraham is like, "Look, I'll pay you if you kill him for me." And then that's when Henry's like, what are you talking about? How do you kill something that has already been killed?" He's already dead. So what do you do? So anyway, they go back and forth. And then Henry's like, "You know what? I need someone that's going to help me defeat these vampires, but they can't have vengeance in their heart." And Abraham is like, "No, no, no, I won't. I won't have vengeance." And he's just saying anything. And then that's when Henry's like, "No, you can't have vengeance in your heart. I need someone that, you can't have a family. You got to stay focused." And Abraham is like, "Uh huh, uh huh. I can do it. I can stay focused. Okay, okay. I can stay focused." And then that's when Henry goes, "All right, then let's give this a shot." And then in his mind, Abraham is like, "You know what? I just told Henry all that stuff because you know what? In reality, I need to get vengeance for my mom." It's like, yeah, that's what I need to be doing. Oh, and also, by the way, you may be wondering, well, where is Abraham's dad? I forgot to tell you, he passed away, recently passed away. Um, like probably a few years after, I believe, yes, he passed away a few years after his wife, Nancy. So there you go. Henry is talking to Abraham, and he's like, they're in this room full of guns, all different types of guns. So he's telling Abraham, "Okay, so which type of gun are you comfortable with? This one, that one?" And Abraham is like, "Actually, I'm not that good with guns. I prefer an axe." So Abraham is getting ready to get a crash course in how to destroy vampires. And Abraham, he's really not good with guns. He lets Henry know, you know what? An axe. I love a good axe. So that's when Henry coats an axe with silver and he lets Abraham know vampires hate silver. So he trains him in the forest and they do all this stuff kind of like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Abraham is kind of like the 007 and he works for Henry. So to make a long story short, just a little time later, Henry and Abraham, they're talking in like this little bar or whatever. And Abraham sees Bart's and he starts trying to go after him. And Henry grabs him and he's like, "What in the hell do you think you're doing?" He goes, "That's Bart's. He just left." And he goes, "Abraham, I told you. I tell you which vampire to go after. I give you the targets. You don't do it on your own. This isn't all about you and you trying to get back at Bart. We are on a mission." So Abraham backs down, and it's like, gosh, an opportunity missed. So Henry gives Abraham a little crash course on vampires in America. And first off, we have James Bart, who works for Vadoma, who is a ruthless enforcer. And she has a brother named Adam. Now, Adam is the most dangerous because he is considered the first vampire. So we have Adam, the leader, Vadoma, the enforcer, and James Bart is the little flunky who they tell what to do, and he does it. But not only that, Henry tells Abraham that vampires were in America and they were originally feeding off the Native Americans. But then guess what? The Europeans came to America and they came with slaves. And the vampires were like, yes, food, more food, which, got crazy, crazy, crazy. And they also got involved in the slave trade. Henry lets Lincoln know that, hey, we are the hunters and we're trying to balance this whole thing out. So now we see Abraham. He is off on his own. Henry has sent him off very well trained. And Henry reminds him, hey, no attachments and no distractions. So we'll see if Abraham will follow that. So Abraham gets lucky because he wasn't in town long before he runs into a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Speed. And this young man, he runs his own, I guess you would call like a general store, kind of like a Walmart of the 18th century. But he needs help running it. So he tells Abraham, look, you help me run the store, then you can live up above the store. So Abraham agrees, they get along. So that's what Abraham is doing. And he writes a letter to Henry, kind of like keeping him up to date. And he lets Henry know, look, I have no distractions at all because I'm broke. So if you are worrying about me staying focused, have no fear. I'm totally focused because I have no money, no funds. One day, Lincoln is working at the general store and he meets a young woman named Mary Todd. And he is smitten by her. He's like, whoa. But guess what, you guys? Mary has not a boyfriend. a fiance, and he happens to be a politician. So while he's standing here kind of being smitten by Mary, Speed hands him a note. And wonder who could this note be from? All right. So the note is from, of course, Henry. And Henry lets Abraham know, hey, it looks like there's a possible vampire sighting. It looks like there's a vampire working at a pharmacy near you. So, okay, Abraham, it looks like you got a job to do. Well, as you can see, Henry was right. Yes, the pharmacist was a vampire. I say was because Abraham took him out. And as you can see by the picture, he's bearing the vampire. But I mean, this is getting just a little tiring for him. Well, look at Speed and Abraham. It turns out they get invited to a ball. And Speed, he kind of wants Abraham to hook up with Mary. So he thinks this is a good time to, you know, maybe get some alone time with Mary at this particular ball. So what Speed does is he distracts Mary's fiance, and that way, Abraham and Mary can, kind of get a little alone time. And they do some dancing. And while they're dancing, Abraham tells her that, he's interested in the law. And, he's a little interested in her. It's like, okay, we're going to see where this one goes. Well, it looks like it's going to a little picnic date. So, yes, Abraham and Mary are on a picnic, but guess what? Abraham kind of falls over a little bit. And the reason why he falls over, he is exhausted. I mean, he has a regular job by day, getting rid of vampires at night. So he's basically working almost 24 hours a day. But he does trust Mary. And so he tells her straight up, hey, I get rid of vampires. And of course, she laughs and she's like, "Oh, really? How many have you gotten rid of?" He goes, "Well, I don't know." He's like bragging to her. He's like, I don't know, maybe five, maybe six." And she starts cracking up and she thinks he is like the funniest guy. So it looks like Abraham has won Mary over. Oh, and look at them. Look at him dropping Mary off at night. Now, remember, we're talking the 18th century, okay? Dropping her off at night. So they had a wonderful time, everything like that. And then they kind of want to kiss each other. But he's tall and she's not as tall as he is. So what Mary does is she takes off his top hat, she stands on it, and she goes to kiss him, but then Abraham kinda remembers what Henry said, because remember Henry said, "No distractions," basically, "Don't get a woman, no family, stay focused." So he kinda turns his head a little bit, and she's kind of like, a little disappointed with that. Now, isn't this creepy? Look who is lurking in the shadows. He's still around, and that would be Bart. Okay, so now we see Adam, the head vampire, talking to his sister. And look at the headline: Six headless bodies found near Springfield. Well, of course, Adam and his sister are not happy about this because those vampires, those are their associates. So they're like, who could be up to this? But they know Henry. They know, what, Henry is up to this. And they also know about Abraham. So this is like, oh no. So now they are setting their sights on not only Henry, but Abraham as well. And a short time later, we see Abraham. And what is Abraham doing? He has a law book because while he's at work, he also likes to get a little studying in as well. And someone enters the general store. So, who could this mystery person be? So, they enter the general store and they start asking Abraham some general questions about the law. Abraham responds, and then the guy turns around, and Abraham is like, wait a second, I know you. It's Will. It's his best friend from childhood. It's like, oh my God, they are so happy to see each other. So Will tells Abraham what he's been doing these past years. And it turns out Will has been freeing slaves via the Underground Railroad. However, he's in a little bit of trouble because some bounty hunters are after him. So he needs someone to write a letter to let them know, hey, I'm not a slave, I'm free. So that's when Will and Abraham they go outside and go for a walk, and that's when they run into trouble. Yeah, the bounty hunters. So let's just say Abraham uses his skills and boom, he does away with the bounty hunters. But they end up in jail. But have no fear, because Mary is here, and Mary gets them out of jail. I know Will is happy. I bet he's like, yes. Abraham too, but Will, I mean, it could have been a lot worse for Will. So now Abraham, he's trying to, polish himself, polishing his skills because now he is getting into politics because he's decided he wants to tackle the problem of slavery. And there's a senator, Senator Nolan, and he offers to help Abraham. And he lets Abraham know, you know what? I got some connections. I'll pull some strings. And you know what? I'm going to make it happen for you. And look who turns up. It is Henry. Now, Henry and Abraham have not seen each other for a minute. They've only been corresponding through letters because, as I keep saying, Abraham is like 007 for Henry. So Henry's just been giving him these little assignments, get this vampire, that vampire, and all of that. So it is interesting that, whoa, Henry shows up. And Henry, well, he sort of has some bad news for Abraham. He lets Abraham know, hey, Bart, uh, he knows about Mary. So I think now it's time for us to, yeah, it's time for us to get rid of Bart. We got to do it. And of course, Abraham, he's ready to get that revenge. So he is ready. And look at him. He is ready. Abraham is ready. So he goes looking for Bart and he finds Bart. The only thing is, well, we know Bart is a vampire. So even though he can't see Abraham, guess what? He can smell him coming. It's like, oh no. So this right here is a good action scene. So yes, so Bart smells Abraham coming, and so he avoids getting attacked by Abraham. So all this noise and stuff, it scares all these horses. So it's kind of like a horse stampede. and Abraham and Bart are in the middle of it. And oh, this is a nice fight scene. Look, right? I said a nice fight scene. Well, I mean, yeah, I know it's violent, but it's nicely done. So they're jumping off of horses, on horses, backwards flips. I mean, they're doing the whole nine. And well, look what happens. They both end up falling over a cliff. And well, Lincoln, look at that. Damn! He gets rid of Bart, not only using an axe, but using a gun as well, like a double whammy. Wow. And look at Bart. Even though he's dying, look at the smile on his face. You know why he's smiling? Because he tells Lincoln, he goes, "That's okay. You may have got rid of me, but there's more of us, and we're going to take over the country. There are thousands of us." He tells Lincoln. It's like, "Oh boy." But guess what he also reveals to Abraham? He also reveals to him that, "Hey, you know your friend Henry? Did you know he was a vampire just like me?" What? You talk about spilling the tea. I mean, the whole teapot has been spilled. It's like, what? Oh, no, not Henry. I mean, he trusts Henry. As a matter of fact, he trusts Henry with his life. So look at Henry. Henry is in an alley looking tore down. You know why? Well, it turns out there was a lady of the evening in an alley with a would-be customer, but the customer harasses her and tries to be violent towards her. And that's when Henry steps in. Not only does he save the woman, but he's like, "I'm kind of hungry too." So he bites the guy's neck. And guess who's watching the whole thing? Abraham. So now he knows with his own eyes, oh my God, Henry really is a vampire. But before Abraham can get rid of him, he's like, "Wait, Abraham, I can explain. Here's my story." So Henry tells Abraham one day he's on the road with his wife, and the next thing you know, they are confronted by a gang of vampires, not at night, but in broad daylight. Now Henry's a good fighter. So he was fighting them off pretty good. But then, the head vampire Adam revealed himself. So those two started fighting. And Henry, well, he may be a good fighter, but unfortunately, he was no match for Adam. So Adam bit his neck, and his wife is watching this. And then after he bites Henry's neck, he makes Henry watch him get rid of his wife by drinking her blood until she was like bone dry. And for whatever reason, I guess vampires can't attack other vampires. So Henry becomes a vampire instantly, but he tries to go after Adam and he just can't do it because now he's a vampire just like Adam. So it's like, wow. So it's like he can't even get revenge against Adam. It's like, boy. So Abraham listens to the story, and basically his attitude is like, "Hey, I understand, it is what it is." And he returns to the shop, and he's met there by Mary. And it's like, wait a second, what's Mary doing out at night? But anyway, right then and there, Abraham asked Mary to marry him. It's like, okay, very romantic, right? It's like, yeah, this is turning out to be a very romantic night. And look, Abraham and Mary, they get married. And William is there at the wedding. Speed is there as well. And look, even Henry is at the wedding. But while the little festivities are going on, Henry lets Abraham know, I believe the head vampire kind of knows about you. And Abraham is like, nah, I don't think he does. Well, you guys, you're about to find out. Yes, Adam knows all about Abraham, and he is not very happy, not happy at all. And right now, he is looking at the dead body of Bart. And it looks like Bart is clutching something in his hand. And what Bart has in his hand is a pendant that belongs to Abraham. So right now, Adam, he is on 100 right now. He is so angry. He's like, oh, no, 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 no. Uh-uh. It is not going down like this. So Adam orders his sister Vidora, and he's like, you know what? We're going to have to get Abraham Lincoln, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to invite him to our plantation. But it's kind of like, okay, why would Abraham accept an invitation from Adam the vampire? I mean, come on. You know he's not going to go. Hell, I wouldn't go either. But guess what Adam does to get him to come? He has his friend William kidnapped, you guys. Oh, yes, William gets kidnapped right up off the street. And after he gets kidnapped, Adam sends out this invitation. Oh boy, it's about to go down. So now we see Speed and Abraham. And where are they headed? They're headed to the plantation in New Orleans. Ooh, boy. Mm, this is this is going to be interesting. Now, how creepy is this? So Speed and Abraham, they get to the plantation, but guess what? There are no slaves. It's like, okay, how can you have a plantation with no slaves? Where the heck are the slaves? So they get close to the plantation house, and that's where they see something weird because they see the slaves dancing with the vampires. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Something is not right. And look, there's William. He's alive. And well, it looks like he's safe, but then things take a dark turn because the party goes from being what looks like a sophisticated affair to a downright massacre. And look at Fedora. Ew! And she's trying to go after William, but William was able to escape. And then that's when Speed and Abraham, I mean, that's when they burst into the house. And well, somebody's waiting on them. And it's none other than Adam. And look at him, too. He's cool, Papa. Look at him. He's just sitting there looking very content and just very mild mannered because you know why? Because he's going to have the other vampires do his dirty work. And that's when the fight begins. Wow, look at Lincoln. Look at him. He's doing all these moves, looking like he's from the Matrix. And then the next thing you know, William has joined in the fight. So it's like, okay, here we go. But Adam's sister Fedora, she steps in and boom, she kicks William hard right in the chest, just like it's a WWE wrestling match. And then the next thing you know, she goes after Lincoln and pins Lincoln under a freaking chair. Wow, so now look at Lincoln. He is pinned under a chair. And Adam tells Lincoln, "Look, I want you to go ahead. You need to get rid of Henry. And if you don't get rid of Henry, you know what? That's okay cuz guess what? I'll just turn you into a vampire. How's that?" And it's like, "What?" And just when Adam is going to go ahead and go after William, guess what happens? It's Speed. Speed to the rescue. Yes, he comes to save the day, you guys. So he ends up saving everybody. And so, well, when I say everybody, I mean he saves William, he saves Abraham, and he saves himself. And all three of them manage to escape. So the three of them are running in pitch darkness. They get to a river where they meet a woman in a boat. So they hop they hop on a board and they head for Ohio. And in Ohio, that's when they are in a church, and this church houses runaway slaves. But guess what? Adam's sister Vadoma, she's kind of like, I wonder are they around here? So it's like, oh no. But then a priest is able to kind of like, talk to her like, yeah, there's nobody here, whatever. And so her and her men, they leave. It's like, whoo, you talk about a close call. And in this scene, Abraham and Henry, they have a heated debate. And the heated debate is over slavery. Abraham is like, you know what? It is time to get rid of slavery. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. But Henry, he's like, wait now, we got to think practical about this because he's like, slavery is the only thing that is keeping the vampires in the South because, they're slave owners, they're feeding off the slaves. And Henry's like, why don't we just keep it that way? Because if you abolish slavery, then those vampires, they're not only going to be in the South, they're going to be in the North, they're going to be in the East, they're going to be in the West, they're going to be all over the United States. And it is going to be very hard to get rid of them. So we just need to keep them contained in the South, right where they are. And on that note, Abraham decides, you know what, I'm done with this. He puts up his axe. He's like, I'm done hunting vampires. And the next thing you know, Abraham becomes Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States of America. Wow. I mean, look, we've watched him grow, right? Now he's the president. But unfortunately, a little war breaks out. A little war called the Civil War between the North and the South. So it's like, boy, has he got his hands full. And in the meantime, Abraham and Mary, they have a son named William. And, when you're in the White House, you have a lot of servants and things of that nature. And you're really maybe not keeping up with the hiring process. And the reason why I say that, because look who enters William's room. None other than the vampire Vadoma. It's like, oh no. And unfortunately, She ends up biting the little boy's arm. It's like, "Oh my god." And then Abraham, he sees it and he has flashbacks. Cause remember what happened to his mom. She got bitten on her arm as well. So he's like, this something is not right. And while he's in William's room, he sees something on the floor. He bends down and picks it up, and look what it is. It is that pendant or that locket. And he's like, wait a second. I lost this when I was fighting Bart. How in the hell is it now in my son's room? And that's when he knows, oh, some vampires are in the White House and one of them has gotten a hold of my son. And so now we see Henry, man, he's, in Abraham's son's room. And Henry reminds Abraham, he's like, I do have the power to, save your son. But we know the only way Henry can save him is to bite at his neck and turn him into a vampire. And as you can see, Mary is listening to the whole conversation. And guess what Mary says? Mary says, do it, do it. And she tells Abraham, she goes, you know what? I read your diaries, and now I know what you're saying about vampires is true. I need you. This needs to be done for my son. But Abraham is like, Mary, you just don't understand. If Henry bites his neck, our son will not be our son anymore. He will never be the same. So, well, that conversation is never discussed again. So that's when you kind of know that unfortunately, the little boy, he passes away. And Abraham, when it comes to this war, he's getting bold with it. You know what? He's like, we're going to send out these troops and we're going to send them out in full force. So the president of the Confederacy, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna need some backup. I'm gonna need some help." And look who he turns to. He turns to Adam because he knows Adam will send his army of vampires. It's like, oh my goodness, this is getting interesting. Wow, and look at this scene. They do not look happy. And you know why they don't look happy? That is because since the Confederacy has the vampires fighting for them on the front lines, man, Abraham's troops are getting decimated. It's just like the vampires are getting them left and right, right and left. And Abraham is just distraught. He doesn't know what to do. And then the next thing you know, while he's sitting there, he picks up a fork. And guess what kind of fork it is? It's a silver fork. And he remembers, yes, that's what the vampires don't like. They don't like silver. And it's like, okay, so what? So Lincoln orders everybody, man, woman, and child, give up all your silver. Every piece of silver you have in your house, I need it. Come on, come on. So everybody's silver is confiscated. So, looks like Abraham has a plan and it is coming together. But look who else has a plan coming together. See that gentleman? Remember him? That's Speed, you guys. Abraham, one of his good friends. Why is he sitting next to the vampire Vadoma? You know why? Because Speed is like, you know what? I don't trust Abraham. I sure don't. I don't like his presidency. he is going to split the country apart. So guess what he does? He tells Vadoma how Lincoln is gathering up all the silver. It's like, Speed, are you out of your mother effing mind? Man, this movie is getting good. Now look at Mary. Who is Mary meeting with? You see that lady sitting down right there? That's Harriet Tubman. Don't laugh, you guys. Yes, it is Harriet Tubman. And guess what? Mary is like, I got to get out of Washington. Harriet, can you smuggle me out? I need some help. And Harriet is like, sure, I'll help you out. And in the meantime, look at our president. Look at Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Guess what? He's like, you know what? I know I'm president and everything like that, but it is time for me to get this axe back in my hand. Yeah, it's time again. So, whoa, okay. Abraham Lincoln, our hero. Man, so look at that. Look at Vadoma. Oh my God. And look, that looks like Adam, right? Ah, and guess who they are confronting, you guys? It's Mary and Harriet Tubman. It's like, oh my God, how are Mary and Harriet Tubman going to get out of this? You know what? Before anything can go down, guess what happens? Vadoma and Adam, they hear a whistle blowing and they know it's a train whistle. And you know what? They leave. You know why? Because they know that's the train that has all the silver on it. And they know for them, all that silver is deadly. So they know they need to stop that train by any means necessary. So, whew, Harriet Tubman and Mary are spared. Okay, so let's see what's happening on the train. Well, guess who's on the train? We have our president, Mr. Lincoln. We have his good friend William, and we have his sellout friend Speed. And we also have Henry. And Henry is trying to tell Abraham, man, your friend Speed, he's a sellout, I'm telling you. And meanwhile, Abraham is like, man, shut up. Leave me alone. Well, you know, I'm paraphrasing, right? So he's like, man, shut up. Leave me alone. And the next thing you know, the vampires start boarding the train. And now we got nonstop action on the train. Gosh, when I say nonstop action, God, look at that face, man. Ooh, chilling. And now look, now the train is on fire, and you have William and Abraham just flying through the air. Where are they going to land? I'm not going to tell you. And look at that ugly face over there. That is actually Henry. Why does he look so bad? Because he is using all the strength he has to try to stop the train. He's trying to save the life of William and Abraham. He's using all his strength. In the meantime, where's Speed? Where's Adam? Guess what? I'm not going to tell you. It'll give it away, right? And look at this scene right here. Woo! Mary has gotten brave and has gotten bold. Look at her. What is going on? Well, you guys, like I always tell you, I'm not going to tell you the ending. I'm not going to give it away. I've told you just about everything about this movie, but I'm not going to tell you the ending. But wow, look at this. This is a this is a powerful scene right here. So with that, this movie comes to a close. Well, let's just say this little movie synopsis comes to a close. Okay, the cast, the cast. As as I stated in a previous video, I used to feature every single actor and actress that was in a movie, give you play by play on their whole entertainment life. That's a lot of work, you guys, especially when the actor or the actress is older. I mean, we're talking like quite a few films and TV shows. So that's why I had said going forward, I still want to recognize people that have played a role in a movie, but I'm not going to pick them out one by one and do all these dissertations or anything like that. But as you can see, you guys, look at our cast. Some of these people you may recognize, some you don't. So I want you to do your research on this cast, and you're going to find some interesting things. Some of them, hey, may have been in Captain America. One of the actresses is married to Ewan McGregor. Somebody has played in the movie Mamma Mia, on the show Rings of Power. Someone has a small role in this movie, and they were actually nominated for an Academy Award for Best Cinema Photography. And someone has two famous daughters, and somebody is a stunt double and a stunt coordinator for Black Panther, The Avengers Endgame, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I mean, and the list goes on and on. So the people you see on the screen right now, go ahead and check them out. Oh, and someone played the bad guy in the Denzel Washington movie, The Equalizer, the first movie, and he did a heck of a job. Who is it? Hey, I know who it is, but I want you to do your research. I know you guys are like, what? Me do your research? No, some of this stuff is actually fun, at least to me, because I love little movie trivia and stuff like that. So, anyway, you guys, there's a cast. Go ahead and research them and have some fun with it. And look who we have here. We have Timur, and he was the director of this movie. And I am so sorry I cannot pronounce his last name, and I don't want to butcher it. But he was the director of this movie, and if you look on the screen, he's also directed a couple of movies as well. Well, more than these, but these are just a few. So go ahead and check them out. And you see, the last one he directed was with Ice Cube, War of the Worlds. Very, very interesting. And the producer of this film is none other than Tim Burton. And you can see a couple of movies that he's had a hand in. And he usually works with Johnny Depp. And he's been working with Johnny Depp for over 30 years. So they have a very long working relationship. But gosh, look at his movies. They're absolutely amazing. So there you go. Tim Burton. And we have Seth Graham Smith. None of this would have been possible without him. You know why? Because he wrote the book, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and he also wrote the screenplay for the movie. And look at his these are just a couple of his books. And as you can see by the titles, he likes to um bring together horror and history. He likes to intertwine those two. And he's also done some TV and movies as well. Beetlejuice, and It from 2017. So go ahead and check out his work. Okay, so what's my verdict on this movie? I am going to have to say I absolutely loved watching this movie, and this will be one of these movies that I'll keep watching. Yeah, kinda like once every few years, I'll check in. So, yeah, this movie is definitely gonna be on my radar for many years to come. And the thing is, don't let the title fool you, like Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, ha ha ha. Actually, this movie takes it very seriously. Now, is there some humor in the movie? Yes, there is some humor, but this is not like a comedy, okay? The movie takes itself very seriously, which is kind of comedy within itself. I love the characters. I love the creepiness of the movie because there are some creepy factors in the movie that I liked. Uh, One thing I have to say I had a problem with is the action scenes tended to be a little hazy, I guess you would say, or a little too dark or a little too murky where I couldn't kinda see what was going on, you know what I mean? It's like, "Ooh, I wish they woulda turned up the lights a little bit," or something like that, so I don't know. I don't know if when the movie was finished, they looked at some of the fighting scenes and they kinda darkened it up a little bit, but it's like, "No, now I can't see really what's going on." So that's I guess one of my only complaints about this movie. Does this movie have flaws? Yes, it does, just like any other movie. But I loved the premise of this movie. I really, really did. And once again, this is like the third movie that I've talked about that infuses slavery in the narrative. So very, very interesting. So yeah. So personally, I think this is a very enjoyable movie and I really think this is a fun ride. You guys will enjoy it. So go ahead and check this out. Well, once again, as always, thank you guys so much for watching because, like I always say, social media is filled with millions and millions of people. So, when you guys take time out of your busy schedule to actually take the time to watch one of my videos, I greatly appreciate it. So, I do not take you for granted, not at all. And don't forget, as always, to like and subscribe. And remember, I have a book and it falls in line with the Halloween season. It is called The Creeping Things and Other Tales of Madness and Mayhem. So go ahead and check out my book. It is very, very affordable. And also, too, let me know when you get the book, what's your favorite story? Because there are 31 stories because there are 31 days in October. So there you go. So once again, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it and take care until next time.